All right, in this chapter, we're going to talk about managing AR customers. And managing means how to create them, how to deactivate them, how to set the credit limit, and the differences between a retail individual and a retail business or company. So, we're going to walk through those steps here, show you how to set it up. We'll give an example of how to use it within a parts invoice, and the invoicing will be the same for all areas. And then we'll show you eventually how to apply a payment against an AR balance. So let's go ahead and take a look at the first step, which is how to set up the AR customer. So I've opened an existing customer. I can tell they're a retail individual, as it says retail individual here, and I just want to create them to be an AR or accounts receivable customer. I can toggle this on, and again, depending on my configuration and dealership settings under accounting, I may or may not be able to set the credit limit. If you can't set the credit limit in DX1, that's because of the way I just mentioned it's configured. You'll need to get with your business office to set the credit limit, which will then sync back up with DX1 and allow this customer to then start making AR transactions. In this case, for training purposes, I've made sure to configure it so I can add a balance right in, which I'm going to do. Here's a credit balance of $500. I can go ahead and hit save. And again, if I really probably should have set terms and account receivable account, but again, for training purposes, I don't have that set up to kind of keep things moving along. We can now see we have an AR general ledger customer, has their balance, their limit, the current balance as of this date. Pretty simple way to set up an AR customer in DX1. Once you do that, you'll also see an AR payment option, which we'll come back to over here in a minute. Once we have a balance, we'll want to apply it on payment. Now you can see here, as also as an accounts receivable customer on this page, I can see their AR balance, their available credit limit, and their AR credit limit. So we'll come back to this page here in a minute. But from the general information side, we're all set up. Now, I did mention there's a difference between a retail individual and a business customer. So you notice right now, as a retail individual, I do have the authorized buyers tab, but I can't really do anything. I can't add an authorized buyer. And you're a retail individual. So in order to take advantage of authorized buyers, which I'll explain here in a minute, you need to make sure that your company is set up as a company. So when I do that, it's going to ask me if I'd like to set this as a retail business. I say yes. I can now hit save, and you can see my customers updated from a retail individual to a retail business. And now that I've done that within the authorized buyers tab, you can see I now have some functionality, which is to add an authorized buyer. To do that, I can add in a first and last name. I can add in an email, which it'll ask me to do, a mobile number, and then a location if I want to. Once I do that, I now have an authorized buyer linked up to a retail business account. And what that means is moving forward, anytime this retail business or this AR customer is being used with a retail business in an invoice, it's going to require your employee to ask the purchasing person what their name is, check at their identification, and make sure they're on the authorized buyers list. That way, they don't have people who are not authorized coming in, getting products, and putting it on their account. Okay, so now that we've learned how to set that up, let's go ahead and take a look at how to use it within a parts invoice. So I'm opening up a parts invoice and I want to sell a part to an AR customer. Now I mentioned in a previous video I can set a default method of payment, and you can see here I've done that to make sure that always it's Visa, MasterCard, ATM with a surcharge amount. Again, making sure this is what I take mostly as payments in my dealership, right? And I want to make sure we're charging the surcharge. But in the case of the AR customer, when I add that customer to an invoice, you notice that my default method of payment changed directly to AR charge. And that's because I've also set it as a default method of payment with a zero. When my AR customer is added, it overrides the Visa MasterCard with the surcharge and goes straight to an AR payment. So just keep that in mind. If that doesn't happen for you, when you add your AR customer, you just need to go into method of payments and set it as a default method of payment by using a zero as the numerator for the order. Okay, so we've now added our AR customer. If I want to see their balance or need to tell them their balance for some reason, I can scroll down and see that here at the bottom of the invoice. I can also now see my authorized buyers list. Now, in this case, There's only one authorized buyer, so it doesn't make you select. But as a business adds more than one, it will say please select and ask you to select the authorized buyer for each invoice. At this point now, I can go ahead and sell this business a part. I need to special order a part for them. I'm going to go over, I'm going to take the payment. You can see here the payment type is an AR, the payment date. I'll go ahead and complete my sell. And now when I go back over to my customer record, let's go ahead and come back over here and we'll look at our AR payments and we'll refresh the customer record now. We can now see that we have an AR balance of $7.57. We can see our available credit, our credit limit. Now, if they want to come in and apply a payment for this, directly in the store or they mail it in, however you want to do that. If you want to add the payment within DX1, you can come up here, click the plus add. It'll have the account method of payment, the original one, the method of payment they're doing now. So let's just say they're going to pay with cash. It'll say how much they're owed. You can put a payment note. This is for the demo. Again, it shows the authorized buyer. I'll go ahead and accept the payment. I'll hit complete. And now we have a record that we can show that they've made their payment and their AR balance goes back to zero and their available credit is $500. Again, there's different configurations within DX1, whether you're using QuickBooks Desktop, QuickBooks Online, or your own system that does not integrate with DX1. So your process might be slightly different depending on that configuration. I also want to mention that you can see here if you'd like to email a copy of that payment directly to whoever made it, you can do that. You can also print a copy of the invoice here, and you can also send an SMS message right from within. Also, in the receipt type windows, if you ever need to send a copy of this invoice to somebody within the company, maybe they're looking for a copy of something, you can always click internal send and pick a user within your system to send it to, whether it be SMS or email. And you can also download these as a PDF, a Word, so if you can print them out if you need to do something like that later. All right, so in this chapter, we've covered how to set up an AR customer, the difference between a retail individual and a business, how to add that AR customer to the invoice, see their credit limits, and apply a payment. Hope this helps you out a little bit when it comes to dealing with AR customers in DX1.